Hello, people. How are we doing today? I'm just going to introduce the panelists today. We've got Jem,
Yes, bro.
we've got Indiana,
What's going on?
and we've got Neeks, who's finally making an appearance.
About time.
Yeah, so today we got a few topics to discuss. We're going to start with the Liverpool. Where does Liverpool rank amongst the champions, previous champions?
10th.
Why do you say 10th? Or are you being genuinely serious?
Like
Or
what I'm saying is they're not in the top 5. I can name you 5 off the top of my head right now.
all right, let's base it off all the recent champions. So we got the Man United in there. We got the Chelsea's in there, the Man City, the Arsenal, the Leicester City.
Well, you know what? For me, and I think I've been pretty consistent with this. I've always, because obviously the Premier League's been going on for 30 years now, isn't it? Yeah, 30 years. Yeah. By next year, it'll be 30 years. So 29 years at the moment. So there's a long body of kind of champions to judge from. It's not just a one-off thing. Man United have defended the title multiple times, obviously winning it 3 times in a row twice. Yes. Chelsea defended their title, and you've had one-off champions like, I say one-off, Leicester, Blackburn, they've won it once. We know Liverpool's won it once so far. And Arsenal's won it. And Arsenal's won it once. They never they won it 3 times, but they never defended it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've always said if you can defend your title, then that's when I put you right at the top. So I'm talking, for me, Man United 99, that kind of, and 99, 2000, 2001, and the Man United 07, 08, 09 are 1 and 2. Whichever order you want to put them in, 1 and 2. I would say the 99 is 1 because they did 3 in 1 season. Some people say the 2018 was better in terms of Ronaldo, Rooney, etc. But what the 99 team does was amazing. When Man City won 100 points, a lot of people were like, best Premier League team of all time because they got the most points. And I said, no. They need to go and defend that title because I don't care how much points you get. But points that you get in a season is only relevant for that season that you're in. It doesn't have any bearing or any correlation to previous seasons happen. I think Chelsea's Conte, they had the record before, wasn't it? 90, how much you get? 95 points, I think it might have been.
97, I think it was, yeah.
And I think they got like maybe the record wins or whatever it was. But I was like, yeah, but the Jose team that defended it was better because they defended it. So that Man City team for me had to go and defend it. And I was more impressed with their second season defending it against the Liverpool side, which got 98 points, than 97 points, than the season before when Man United were 18 points off the pace. Liverpool for me to be considered as one of the greatest Premier League champions of all time have to defend their title. Winning it with X amount of points and X amount of points clear of another, that don't matter for me because that just means that, okay, that season there's arguments. Oh, maybe the league wasn't as good. There's all these different things that might come into play. Can you defend your title? And if you can't do that, you just go down as one of England's champions.
Leicester.
Really. Yeah, Leicester. Really and truly. And if anything, the Leicester one's more impressive because it's Leicester.
Neeks, do you think they get? Do you think this conversation happens because they won the Champions League the season before?
No.
Do you think that's got anything to do with it? Like,
no. Okay.
They mean like the great. They're saying the greatest side. I don't think any Liverpool fans saying the greatest champions, but they're saying the greatest side in the Premier League.
So I think
that's bollocks.
I know that. You know that.
That is.
But I think you might want to use it as an argument, but I don't think that's why it's being said. I think it's being said because it's Liverpool. Because it's Liverpool, who haven't won it for 30 years, because they are one of England's the top 2 in terms of powerhouses, history, etc. And it's like it's the sleeping giant. We've been waiting for this moment, and they've finally done it. Yeah. So whether they had a Champions League or not, they could have won the League Cup the year before, and then won the Premier League, and they will still be saying it because it's Liverpool. The Champions League is just easy. Now it's easier to make the argument because they won the Champions League the year before.
Yeah,
I agree. When Liverpool fans win something, it's always been painted as better than anyone else has done it. Like it's like a painted story of how great it was and the the way they got there and like you look at the Champions League, right? Don't get me wrong, that was massive against AC Milan. They went 3-0 down, they come back.
Yeah.
One that will go down in history. I get that. Do you know what I mean? But it's like every time they win something, it's like it has to be the pinnacle. They always have to be like the pinnacle, and it's usually the Liverpool fans that are the ones that are calling it. Do you know what I mean? That's what
it's not even just that, because you got the Liverpool fans, and then the media there's a heavy Liverpool contingent within the media. So obviously, it's like when you see a lot of the English players and they don't get criticism where you might think they deserve it. Not saying they should be hounded or anything like that, but because there might be some friends in the media or they've got maybe, I won't say an agenda, but a preference in terms of what they want to see. Maybe they want certain players to get to go to the Euros, etc., etc. So they're going to kind of tone down their criticism. And when you got ex-Liverpool players, they're going to tone down certain criticisms for their own, the team they support because it's Liverpool. Like Man United recently have got more stick from Jamie Carragher than Liverpool because we are unable to keep up with City. It's like, okay, but where are Liverpool? The narrative I'm hearing now is like, Man United are not ready to win the title. But we didn't think we were from the outset. So why is it even a news story?
Yeah.
Talk about how Liverpool are sitting in fourth.
I think for me, like, it's not necessarily. I'm not like. There's no guarantee that you're going to win back-to-back titles. But for me, it's the manner of how you go about it. You should at least be second and chasing. You know what I mean? And right now, it don't even look like they're going to be in the chase. Looking at their next few results, if they don't get it right, and when you look at City, cool. Liverpool was gone. They're a mile away from everyone else. But if you actually look at City's points tally from last season and this season, they match at this point in the season. So it's not necessarily that City wasn't. They didn't necessarily have a big drop off from last season. They just continued, and if you take away Liverpool, what Liverpool done at their points tally, City actually had a title-winning performance throughout last season. It's just that Liverpool was a mile away. What was it, like 20 was it 23 points?
23.
Wait, who? Sorry, who?
Liverpool. What was the gap?
To Man City, I think it was 18. To Man United, it was like 33 or something.
It's 33 with Chelsea.
Yeah, Man United and Chelsea 33. Okay. 18 to Man City.
In terms of planning, because I feel like they kind of missed the trick in terms of going on and dominating. I felt they should have looked to move someone on, refresh the squad, just to keep moving in the right direction. Personally, for me, I feel over the next few seasons, you might not see a Liverpool that's challenging for the title. Because what they've done is they've missed that moment to sell the players when they were performing at the highest of their ability. Like Mane's not performed this year. And if you look at the teams that was actually being linked to Mane or their front three, it was the Spanish teams. Now you've got the Bars.
The problem is, Kesh, and that you say, the issue you said, they weren't able to sell the players, or they didn't sell the players at the hype. That should never be the case for a champion. The champion shouldn't be thinking about, let's sell the players at their height to go again. It should be like, what can we add? Yeah, what can we add to go again? Yeah. And that's where the issue lies. The issue.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. But I'm looking at the fact of their age, and remember that Liverpool ain't a team that's going to be backed by their owners, as in.
But that's what I'll say. Yeah. So obviously, within their model, they would have to do what you suggested, and I would say that their model is such a high risk because you have to sell a Mane and hope that the person that you buy can produce what Mane's produced, or a Salah or a Firmino, whatever it might be over the last few years. Whereas, as I said, the top teams like Man City, for example, Sane didn't play for the whole of last season. They sold him because he wanted to go, not because they wanted to sell him. But whilst he was gone, they still going. They were still trying to bring in people. While he was there, they had four wingers: Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, Sterling himself. They brought in Ferran Torres. They've always had two strikers. So the question really is Liverpool's model even sustainable to be back-to-back champions, regular success at the highest level. It's
I don't
so
think it
high
is.
risk. You have to get it right so many times
The reason
in a row
Neeks,
for it to work.
the other reason why you strengthen your squad, and yeah, it's important because it's good to have competition in the team, but it's also allowed you to have different styles of formations and different systems. And one thing that we've learned about Liverpool is they haven't got any other style. They just know one way, and they've been playing that one way for about 3 years now. They've been sussed out, mate. I'm telling you, they've been sussed out.
Do you think that's also the sign of a great side? Because we haven't seen them being able to adapt, really. You can say adapt in terms of different players coming in, but not in terms of style of play. Do you know what I mean? They haven't changed their system. So is it a great side?
I don't think so.
But
that's why I say I don't think so.
Is it black and white though that it's down to their style, or is it more of a mixture of things? Like, listen, at the work rate that they play at, you'd expect some sort of drop off because you're gonna burn out. There's no way you can go 4 seasons playing at that level and not have a drop off.
I think they were slightly, I say unfortunate, is what it is, that Man City was so good the year before, because they got 97 points and then 99 points. And 97 and 99 would generally win you a title.
It would, of course it would.
Yeah. Man City got 98. And as we said, we look at Man City. Man City got 100, they got 98, and then last year they got 81. 81 doesn't generally win a league title. I think it will win it in previous years, like up until about 2000, and then I think Leicester won it with maybe at 81. But other than that, it's always been more. So Man City dropped off to about 81. This year, they're probably going to get between 86 and 90 if they continue the rate they're at. But they had that drop off. This is Liverpool's 3rd year of that kind of title form, and they're dropping off like Man City did. But they're actually dropping off more because they don't have the squad that Man City have. Man City had the squad that they could still remain there or thereabouts in terms of league position.
Do we think though, if let's just say, because let's be serious, the one thing they were blessed with in the last couple of seasons was no injuries to key players. Virgil van Dijk, Salah, Mane was at his peak. Do you think if that was the case now and there was still no injuries, that they would still be having the same issues?
They'll be having some issues. They wouldn't be, they would be, I would say, probably where Man United are. So 5-8 points off Man City, need to win all their games to remain the title race, as opposed to fighting for top 4 in the way they are. But I do feel they will still, because when you think about it, the front 3, barring a couple weeks out for COVID, that Mane and Salah were out. Salah wasn't even COVID; he was just quarantined because he was around people. But it's only that those 3 have been fit all season, and they're still failing to score goals. So I think the burnout issue will still be there, regardless of injuries.
I agree.
They've been poor sort of at the beginning of at the end of the second half of the last season. Even though they were champions, they were dropping points left, right, and centre. So it started off very early. It's just that we didn't notice it because they were champions and no one really looked into it.
Should we question Klopp about that as well, though?
In terms of what?
In terms of being so stubborn.
Potentially,
not to do with transfers, because we know that's the FSG problem. Like, I'm a Man United fan, so I know what a board does to managers. But what I'm trying to say yeah, all right, Jim. Don't worry, he's said enough eventually, and then you'll be back to battling it out with Newcastle. Don't worry. In terms of switching up his style of play, being adaptable, like, he's not seeing that. Is he just so fixated on that style of play that I think he's never going to change it? And then do we question him of how great he is? Because Fergie was the best. He was the master at that, at switching it up, being adaptable, brought in different coaches for different things all the time. So should we question Klopp?
I think Kesh, you were going to say something.
I think you can question it, because we all said it, being as fans of football and being outside of Liverpool, we've all said they need to figure out a way of playing a different way and creating chances in a different way rather than the fullbacks when the going gets tough. And what you're seeing now is because Trent ain't playing at the level that he was already playing at for the previous two to three seasons, he's now not creating those chances. You got Robertson. I don't really think Robertson has dropped off as much as people are saying. He hasn't dropped off. He's still playing at a very consistent level. But you then brought in the likes of Thiago, and you're not playing to his strength.
Or in the right position, Kesh.
Or in the right position. So when you see Thiago playing as a 6, and you're thinking, why is he playing as a single pivot? He's not that sort of player. So I do feel this arrogance is letting him down, but that tends to happen because to be a manager at this level, you've got to have some arrogance.
Well, this is the thing, because I mean, you can compare everyone to Fergie, and they're always failing comparison. So I think it's unfair to do that. Comparing to Jose, comparing to Pep, and you'd find that there's not too much difference. And when I say difference, in terms of them sticking to their philosophy, wherever they go, whatever players they have at their disposal, whatever the expectations of the club, this is the way I'm going to play. And they do not yield from that. Now, you might argue that's why they're never going to be the greatest of all time, because there's times when you have to change and you don't. And you might argue, to be fair, Pep's adjusted this year. And maybe it's taken he started in 2008. It's taken 10 years for him to get to the point where he's like, I might need to change this to make sure I win again, because obviously Klopp's probably been his fiercest challenger, because over 2 years he challenged him right to the end. Obviously the second year beating him clearly, whereas when it was in Spain, Jose beat him and then he left, so there was he kind of ran away from that challenge in that respect. So maybe Klopp has forced him to change in a way that he's never had to do in the past. I think Klopp maybe hasn't reached the point where he's had to change, because he's always been at a club where he's been the underdog going in. So it's like, well, I'm going to go with my football and let's see where it takes us. If Liverpool were to remain at the top for an extended period of time, and then other challenges are coming, then he's going to have to change. Do I blame him? No, because I think nowadays, especially in modern day football, you get more and more of these, what you might say, system managers or system coaches, where it's like, this is, and maybe this is what football is a lot more there's more coaches than managers. And when you think about it, back in the days, you had managers and they would bring in coaches to take certain parts of training. Now you've got coaches being in the managerial position. So it's like, this is the way I'm playing and this is what we're going to do. Whereas in the past, you have a manager, you say, all right, for one game or for one season, we're going to play like this. Another season, we're going to play like that. Look at Ancelotti. Ancelotti can go to different clubs, different expectations, and he will just change the way he's going to play to suit the players at his
adapt.
And that's an old school way of doing the manager. The new school way, the Nagelsmanns, the Poches, the Ten Hags, etc. They're like, this is my way, and we're going to play it regardless.
I agree. This brings us on to our next segment, and this is, we see Ahmed in the comments here. You will like this one. Neymar, new contract at PSG. Do we feel that he's making the right decision, and what does it mean for his legacy in terms of if he wins the Champions League with them or if he doesn't win it with them?
The only time I ever really thought about prime Neymar was when he was at Barcelona with Messi and Suarez. That's when I actually thought, wow, what a player. Other than that, I've never really looked at him as a top 3/5 player in my eyes. Like, he's very good. Go on.
Is that because the league that he's in, or is that because what you feel about the player?
I think he's over.
Bernard.
Yeah, that was Bernard. That was a great goal. That was a great goal.
Yes,
I'm slightly behind. Come on.
Yes. That's what you want to hear. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, go ahead,
Alex and Eleanor in the mud.
Yeah, literally. Do you know what I mean?
What was he saying,
but for me, look, it's potentially maybe the league might be to do with it. You got to bear in mind at PSG, but Neeks, we forget he was injured for a very long time at PSG.
Yeah,
he was out for a very long time.
But I would ask, okay, if say he wasn't out and he was still, say he was scoring a phenomenal rate, would you not give him the league on tax? So you'd be like, yeah, but it's the French league. Yeah, but I want to see you do the champion. That's the way I look at it. Because his record is good. His record is good even without the injuries. But I'm just like, what have you done in the Champions League? That's the only thing I care about when he's at PSG.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue. So, someone talking. Apologies for being late, by the way. So sorry. I'm sorry. Like last season, to be fair, I'd argue that like, although he did flop in the final, he was probably the reason as to why PSG got to the final in the first place. I don't think it was Mbappe. So, and Mbappe, with Neymar being injured, he's had time to actually try and be the starman to carry this team. He's still young, but he's not really done that. Case in point, Manchester United. So if Neymar is injured, which is I'm hearing reports that he might be injured.
Well, just before his sister's birthday.
That's just showing it itself. It's getting ridiculous. You have to kind of think like, nah, there's something off going on. You can't be every single time you get to this stage, you're getting injured for your sister. That something's off. If he's injured, nah. I mean, PSG could just. I think it's just because there's no one really there that can really take the team forward in terms of going out, stocking up, and score the goals. I think as soon as you mark out Mbappe, who really is there to do it?
Yeah,
this is the thing. Okay, this is the thing. No, Indiana wants Icardi to replace Martial, but that's a discussion for another minute. My issue is with the whole Neymar. Yeah, I think Neymar went to PSG to get out of Messi's shadow. He said basically, I can't be the star at Barca while Messi's there, and he's right. You can. And the fee helped as well. Well, 100%, of course, but it's like, yeah, I can be a part of it. Me, Suarez, but all that's doing is enhancing Messi's legacy. When all is said and done, Messi won another Champions League. Messi wins the Ballon d'Or. Messi wins the Pichichi. Messi. Neymar's like, and I don't blame him. Listen, I'm a Brazilian star. I'm gonna be the record goal scorer for Brazil. I need to go somewhere and spread my wings and become the star of that team. Cool. You see that in basketball when teams leave for like franchises, and you're like, why don't you stay there? Like Kyrie Irving, he's like, nah, because I'm just in LeBron's shadow. And then he goes to Boston, and you're like, yeah, there's a reason why you're in LeBron's shadow, because you needed him to actually win. Neymar's gone to PSG, and it's like, cool, you've taken that to say I'm too big basically to be in Messi's shadow. Prove it. And he hasn't done it. Like, I know it's not easy to win the Champions League, but barring last season when it was the easiest time to do it because it was just one leg. The French league had a longer break as well because their league got cut short, so we're just kind of playing like preseason friendlies up until before that game, and you failed to do it. So everything seems to have gone in your favor. You have an easy league, so you can rest up on the weekend before Champions League. Yet you haven't been able to step out. I feel that's what hinders them when they go into the Champions League. The fact that they're playing such easy games, like it doesn't do much for your preparation. Mentally, you go into that game and you're probably playing at the same pace that you probably play against a Lille, for instance. You know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, like the rumors are, let's take us to the next bit now. Messi being linked to PSG. So does he end up back into Messi's shadow? Listen, if Messi goes PSG, he has to leave, because like that's a waste, man. It's like taking like your ex. You're like, damn, I thought I could survive without, and it's really you that I need. Nah, like you can do it for the easy life. You say, you know what, I got easy. I can sail off into the sunset, easy life, but. That's a waste, man. Nah, then you go win the Champions League with Messi at PSG.
But he said. But the thing is, but this is the thing. Like it said, because the thing with Neymar, up until recently, I've established that like you always got the impression that he's not been happy at PSG. So we were talking about wanting to sell and stuff like that, but like it's only been maybe the last year or so where we're kind of like, okay, this dude seems to be happy there. But beforehand, we're always hearing about he's unhappy, he doesn't want to be there, he wants to go back to Barcelona, etc., etc. So it was so you never really got the impression that it was like he, especially because he seems to be injured around important times, that he was actually serious about it. So now that we're hearing that he openly is saying that like he wouldn't mind Messi coming to PSG, is that almost him saying that, like, I'm happy being at PSG. I know what they're going to give me. It just is what it is. I'm almost 30 now, I think. I just want to sort of see out my career winning maybe a Champions League or Cup of America or whatever.
Yeah, but my question is, if he had more ambition, I know he's getting older. He's old. If he had a bit more ambition about him, why not come to the Premier League and then like go to the Man Cities and try and win a Premier League? Why just go and kill yourself off at PSG? PSG. So, come on, man. It don't make no sense.
It's attitude, though, isn't it? There's certain players that like don't want to, do that, and like so. I mean, shout out to Cavani. They'll always also free, but certain players just like they get comfortable.
Yeah.
Do you think he'd rip up the Premier League if he came over?
I think he would. I think he would, but I just don't believe he would like the lifestyle on the.
He ain't got to fight for it. He ain't got to fight for it.
Yeah.
He'd only have the personality to go to a London club.
It's a big risk.
I don't think he'd go to like a
big risk.
Yeah,
there's only one London club who'd come to, innit? Who could afford him?
The
debate would be over, you know that, right?
Take him on a free.
West Ham
to the Prem
right now.
The debate would be
Chelsea
over.
fifth, aren't they? Oh man, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Let me say to Ahmad's doing a madness in there. Listen, yeah, last season he did well, and to be honest, it was Mbappe who cost you in the final, not Neymar. I think Neymar could have done more, but I think that was partly down to Tuchel as well in terms of the way he was playing him. But Mbappe cost you in that final. You should have won. You should have won that final, and Neymar's name would have been in lights. Impossible. Ballon d'Or was cancelled, didn't it? But, but his name would have been in lights. Maybe when I feel FIFA Player of the Year. Barring last season, he hasn't done anything in the Champions League, and he's been there for a while. So we can say 3 games, literally 3 games, because it was all one leg. He turned up and got you to a final, but what did you win in the end? Nothing. He left to become the star elsewhere. He is the star elsewhere, but nobody cares because it's Ligue 1. He has to be doing the Champions League.
One thing I would say though, he's a great player. He's a great
100%,
player, yeah.
100%.
But I don't feel he's the sort of player who's the main guy and can carry that pressure. I don't think he strives well with pressure. I feel he needs a Messi around him. He needs someone to take the limelight off him.
But he's got an Mbappe around him, hasn't he?
He
does have an Mbappe, but
he's got Di Maria, he's got Verratti.
Di Maria, he's got
Verratti in the middle.
Quite a few players.
Do you know what? PSG just suits him so well.
It does.
It's
It
perfect.
does suit him.
It's perfect for him. Like he's left the Barcelona brand because I think that's why we think Neymar was a better player when he was at Barcelona, because it's in your face. It's Barcelona. It's the brand. And he's gone to PSG, and I, for one, I don't really follow Ligue 1. I'm not going to lie to you, but I do keep tabs on the Spanish and Italian leagues. Maybe that's a big part. Maybe that's a big part to play in it. But in terms of Neymar, I think it's just a perfect fit for him. He's the star player. There are games. There are easier games for him there, but what holds him back is the Champions League. That is the Champions League. My question would be, if you're going to be a top player, right? If you're going to be considered, especially when Messi and Ronaldo retire, and you want to be the best player in the world.
Ahmed's a
PSG
to
like
fan.
Serie A and other leagues and go and win titles somewhere else if you're not going to do the Champions League. I think the actual signing at PSG for that period, I don't think is good for his reputation.
It's like Zlatan. Zlatan's never won the Champions League, and that for me that was a stain. And to be fair, it might be a stain, but it was a stain on his reputation for me for a long time. But because he's moved around and he's been successful in different countries, different teams, different competitions, you kind of forgive it, but you say, all right, you know you didn't do that, but you did this. I give the credit. We know Neymar's a brilliant player, but just winning league titles in PSG, when he retired, I've forgotten about it. It's done. It's finished. It's over. Ronaldinho left PSG to go on to bigger things. Neymar's gone through PSG, and he hasn't done bigger things. Now he has, unless is he going to win a World Cup with Brazil?
The thing is also, Mbappe might be at PSG, but you know he's going to leave, and his next big step is going to be somewhere big, like either the Spanish league or the Premier League, and then he will continue winning things. You know what I mean? Like Neymar's not followed that method, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
He's
he
just
went
happy
from
to be the man.
There is
and they went the other direction.
Yeah,
there is the thing that, like, I guess realistically and practically, that, like, especially in the last 2 years, even if Neymar and Mbappe wanted to leave, like, which clubs could actually afford them?
Yeah.
You know, like Barcelona are broke right now. They can't afford anything. You know,
but clubs can't afford them at this present moment. But they decided to sign a new contract because I think right now they both got a year on their deal.
Mark my words, if Liverpool get rid of either one of Salah or Mane, they will go for Mbappe. Watch.
Yeah, but who's going to buy the Salah?
He's 100.
They'll still sell Salah for money.
Yeah.
Don't get it wrong.
Who's going to buy? Who's going to buy?
Who's going to buy
Liverpool ain't buying him. They're not.
All right, Real Madrid.
No. Who's going to buy Salah Mane? The only way you can do that, do a straight swap. Mbappe for Neymar. Mbappe for Mane. PSG. Mbappe.
PSG. Real Madrid. Juventus,
but I don't think Madrid's going to go for. I don't think Madrid's going to go for Salah. He's what? 29 now. 30?
They don't have the money. This is the thing. They don't have like.
They have to sell.
Real Madrid will go if they're going to spend big. They're going to go for a young
Mbappe.
Go for Mbappe, or at push they'll go for a Sancho. At push, they're not going to go for a 28, 29-year-old. They're just still trying to get Gareth Bale off their books. They're not going to go for that. So. The only way you can get Mbappe or a Neymar from PSG is if you give them a Salah or Mane. You do a straight swap, basically, or cash, whatever.
Yeah. I think Mbappe's going to sign a 4 to 5 year. I think he'll see that out, and then I think he will sign a big contract somewhere else. In my opinion, in a few years, age is still on his side.
Yeah, he's still young, isn't he? He's like 22, man.
Can you bring out that comment from Ahmed? He says Mbappe won't leave to an aging Real Madrid team or finish Barcelona team. And listen, you don't need to respect Barcelona and Real Madrid. If they've got the money, regardless of how they're playing at the moment, the pull is still there. Because the question you have to ask yourself, what has Mbappe got left to prove at PSG? What left? It's like when Hazard. What has Hazard got left to prove at Chelsea? The answer is nothing. What did Ronaldo have left to prove at Real Madrid, at Man United?
Man United, nothing. Yeah.
They've done it. It's time to go. It's time, as Claude will say, it's time to go. They have to move on. So, and especially at the age that Mbappe would be, you can be tasked with, I'm going to bring X, Y, Z back to Real Madrid or back to Barcelona. Barcelona ain't won a Champions League in 2015. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the one. So don't sleep on the pull that those two clubs, who are the biggest in the world, have.
But do you think, my only offense for the Neymar and Mbappe is that, like, especially considering the teams that won the Champions League recently, do you think that it's a bit unfair that we still kind of have the mindset like that, or play an individual? I know he cost 200 million and it was a lot, but that really a player is responsible for delivering a CL, when in the last maybe 3 or 4 years, to be honest, it's really been the team. Like, you look at Liverpool's, the Barcelonas, the Madrids, etc. It's been the quality of the team that's won it, not an individual that's actually carried a team to win the
Ronaldo.
PSG have got a great side, though.
I don't think they've got a great side. I think they've got a few great individuals, but if you look at the team overall, they lack a bit of quality. When you talk about win backs,
I agree.
Look at that team leading up to the final. If you talk about their win backs, ain't that great?
No, but then
Marquinhos
you say that, but it's
I agree.
It's about getting the best out of the side.
They've got a good centre back. I'm saying
Kimpembe.
when you're playing Herrera and what's his name? One that was at Everton. It just Guy,
isn't it?
Yeah. I don't even think Verratti was even fit for most of that.
Verratti's the best midfielder.
Struggling.
You know what I mean? And then yes, Di Maria played very well. You got Mbappe, but in terms of players coming off the bench as well, they didn't have that. So their starting lineup had to deliver. If they didn't deliver, they was not going to win that game.
Yeah.
And I feel if they do manage to bring in a Messi, so they signed Florenzi on loan, they might possibly take him permanently. I do feel they can improve the squad, and I do feel that it's all there for Neymar to go and win. So I wouldn't rule them out as of yet.
PSG always feel like a team you can beat. And you shouldn't get that. Like, well, we played them in the Champions League. And let's be honest, we should have won both games. We should have won both games. No, I know.
Martial could finish, but anyway.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But you know why that is, though?
Don't get on that one.
You know why that is, though? And
Martial.
It's not even shameful or anything, but when you're coming from, say, for instance, a Man United, a Barca, a Madrid, and you're looking at those players, I know they got great players in that team, but you subconsciously you think it's the French league, so they ain't got that aura that gives you fear, and I feel that's what plays against them.
Why in the past, right? And I'm talking about, the old PSG teams as well. Since they've had money, since they've been buying the Zlatans and the Becker,
since they've been Chelsea in it, yeah.
Since they've been Chelsea, yeah. Since they've been Chelsea and Man City, why has that team always struggled in the Champions League? Why? Is it because they're coming up against teams that are better than them? Are they more of not a team? They're more of an individual team. They rely on individual brilliance more than anything else.
That's what it is. That's all it is. It's superior complex.
Yeah, inferiority complex.
You know what I mean? That's all it is. Like
they were falling up against Barcelona. You can't go out.
Yeah.
You can't lose that game.
Yeah.
I still think the Manchester United situation was worse in Paris because it was at home and we were playing like Chong and Greenwood in their midst and stuff like that. And yes, Neymar was injured, but I mean, come on, like that just that didn't. Ahmed, if you're hearing, man, you know what happened in the nightmare in Paris. You remember?
That brings me on to the Saliba situation. So we talk about Paris.
Right.
I'm sure we've all seen what we've seen, and yes, I do feel it's just weird, but that's based on my culture. I'm from the UK, and I know things like that wouldn't be deemed acceptable around us. Well, I can speak for myself anyway, yeah. But
you can talk for yourself, mate.
But you have to, for me, I genuinely feel these things happen a lot across youth teams and things like that. Because kids are kids, they mess about. But I just never would fathom that something this, I don't even have the word for it, would happen. Yeah, I just wouldn't have thought something like this would happen. Like, it's not.
Can I just say something? You do know that these footballers have showers next to each other naked. They see each other's parts.
Yeah. No, I get that. But
Jem, that's a bit different.
But
it's a massive difference.
What is,
it's not like they've not seen it before.
What the person is doing, though, what the person is doing is very explicit, and if he followed through what he's doing, we don't know. He's just a short.
Couldn't have been that long. I'll tell you that.
It's not.
Oh, we're gonna have to change the name of this show.
It's not something you'd want to see, or I'd want to see my teammate doing. You know what I mean? But they was. You could tell there was 16 from telling about the video. There was one star on the tracksuit, and now what we've got is the French Federation saying that they're investigating it, and we know how notorious they are for getting rid of people and pushing them to the side. You see it with the Karim Benzema and guys like that, and that's not something that I'd like to see happen to Saliba or whoever else is involved in the thing, because kids make mistakes. But what are you guys' opinion on it?
What is it to say?
My thing is not actually that. My thing's not actually that. It's who found this and then released it.
Yeah.
Why? Someone that's made a bit. Someone that's made a bit of money out of it. 100%.
Yeah, but it's got. If it was someone who knows them or who was in that room, think about this, because I don't actually know how old they all are in that room.
About 15, 16.
15. Okay, so 15.
Mm-hmm.
I have issues with if it's an adult who's released this and put it out viral. I've got real issues with this.
No, of course.
You'll never know that.
For me, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a youth player who once upon a time a footballer, probably been released from wherever club he was at the time, and he's not in the ascendancy to be a footballer anymore. He's looking for a payday. He's seen all the drama that's surrounding Saliba right now, and Saliba's been talking a lot since he's been on loan, and thought this is probably a good time to do it. Made a bit of money off it, and whoever he's released it to, whatever channel he's released it to, have gone and just decided that today's the day they release it. And for me, I know a lot of people, I speak to a lot of people about it, and they're saying he should know better and things like that. But I don't know how it is in France with the youth players. I know over here, from you're like 15, 16, you're media trained. You know these things that you shouldn't be doing and things that you should be doing. And maybe he hasn't received that media training.
The other thing is, I'm like I wouldn't be in that position anyway, where I'm like,
I don't need to be media trained to not do that.
I was saying, just in the changing room doing this, or like all
the. In the end, you have to remember a different culture.
It's not even different. It's not even different.
The weirdest thing that I felt was like the camera panned onto him, and he just smiled and carried on. Like he didn't even like, oh, let me hide. I don't want to be on camera. It's just like that means all of them are recorded. Yeah, it's like he's been recorded before, or he recorded someone else before. Obviously, you don't expect it to get out. It's just normal. Because he's just smiling, like
he looked over, didn't he? Like he looked over, like you're the problem.
I don't think this is even a culture thing. I think this is a generational thing because, like this sort of, I mean, obviously, maybe I've got older on this panel a bit. So, but for the younger generation, the ones that like have basically been born on smartphones and apps, and since they're 5, they're on WhatsApp and all these things, and you've got it, and so they are. I mean, you're told when I wasn't in school, but when I've been in schools where people are just sending, like, you take a picture of like these like teens, like nude or something like that, and exchanging videos and stuff like that, and they're saying it's wrong and revenge porn, all the rest of it happening a lot of times in schools.
Yeah,
a lot of that stems from this quick access to social media, to recording, where they don't really think about it, mature about it, and so I wouldn't be surprised if Saliba and there's always people around it have been in that environment where it's just casual to basically just phone record people having sex, people exchange, doing that, and they don't think about it because they don't really appreciate the reality of a digital footprint, because fundamentally they are still kids for the most part. They don't know the long-term effects of it. Whereas now when you're older, when you're working, you're like, crap, that's there, it's the internet, I'm going to be known for it. And we didn't have that as, I certainly didn't have that when I was a kid, because you still remember dial-up and stuff like that, so you kind of knew. So big up dial-up. Big up dial-up.
I still have an issue with it because this isn't like a revenge porn sort of thing. It's not like he's videoed himself and sent it to a girl and then she sent it to Saliba. This is in the changing rooms. Like
in the end, it could be a revenge porn, but obviously a different type. Where
I have an issue with where he's doing it. That would be my. That's what. I'm not comfortable with that. Is what I'm saying. I wouldn't be comfortable with.
I wouldn't be comfortable with that.
Yeah, kids do.
Don't get me wrong.
Stupid things,
I wouldn't
man.
be comfortable
Trust
with
me.
sending anybody a private video of it either, just to put that out there. Like that wouldn't happen either. That's another level. That's another level for me.
How old was he? 15 when he done this.
Yeah.
I know it's going to sound stupid, but they are kids. They're teenage boys. They do stupid things, man. Come on, we've all done something stupid. Not as bad as that, but I'm just saying we all do dumb things. Don't we? Like absolutely outrageous things.
We see with the Trey Parrott one, so it's a thing that goes on in youth football. A lot of wild things go on in the changing room, but I just never would have thought someone would be comfortable
sitting there while he's doing that
in front of a bunch of males. And
didn't one of our prime ministers do something with a pig or something? From what I've been told, so didn't that happen? I know that you wasn't it. So
the thing that concerned me about this was when I looked on Twitter, I saw a lot of people trying to throw the homophobia kind of slander around and things like that, and I'm just thinking, we need to be mindful of what we say sometimes on Twitter, because we're in a pandemic and there's a lot of people suffering from mental issues, depressions and things like that. And people tend to take things for a joke. and not actually realize how serious these things can be and the effect it can have on
It's a
people.
joke until it's no longer a joke.
Yeah.
So we just need to be mindful.
I'm just waiting for Arsene Wenger's videos to come out the locker. You know, when he used to get called a pedo. When's that going to happen?
This guy.
Just wondering, Kesh, like, could it get any worse for Arsenal Football Club though? Because like, they're sort of trying to sort of like, they're trying to get rid of this Banter FC label, and they just cannot. They just always like, they just go for one crisis to the next. It's just
there's a curse on Arsenal. There's a curse on Arsenal, yeah, because it is just literally one thing after another. We don't get a break.
KJ's fault.
We don't get a break. Honestly, we don't get a break. The only thing I do hope from this, like, I know people saying, "Oh, if this was any other, sort of business or company, the person will get sacked for it." I'm like, I can understand what you're saying, but it would be very harsh to sack someone at the age of 16 for doing something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
No other business buys and sells employees, so there's a financial implication that you get in football. Football's a very, as much as a business, it's a very, very different industry. Sport is in general to any other business. What I was going to ask though, in terms of the whole Saliba issue, what is the issue in terms of him and Arsenal, him and Arteta? Like, it obviously came with a lot of hype. He hasn't got his chance. He's now gone away, but there still seems to be. It's not like go away, get a bit of experience, come back. It seems like go away. We don't want you here. Hence why.
I reckon Arteta saw that video, mate. I thought, fuck this.
I don't necessarily think it's that, but what he's doing, he's not exactly helping himself. Like, ideally, I would like to see him go on loan, perform, and put his name out there. Let the man just see that he's doing what he can do and perform to his highest ability. But he tends to be speaking quite a lot, and a lot of it is like little digs at the manager. And I'm thinking, that's not really going to do you well, is it? Like, if the manager does have a personal issue with you, which I don't think it is, I think what we have to understand is Saliba wasn't signed by the people that's at the club right now. Edu wasn't there. Arteta wasn't there. He was a Emery and Sinelli signing. He's suffered from losing both his parents. He didn't play majority of last season. He's a teenager who's not got much experience. I know we look at the Fofana.
That's the thing.
But there's a difference, Neeks. Even though Leicester is playing better than us, they've been better than us for the last few seasons, the magnifying glass is not going to be on one of their signings as the way it would be on an Arsenal player.
I get that. All right, but the question I'm asking, do you think Arteta's sending him out on loan to get experience, or it's a case of, I just don't really fancy you, I don't really think that you're good enough?
No, I think he's actually sending him out there to get experience. Because
but obviously Saliba doesn't feel like that, hence why
that's kids though. We even when you're speaking to your parents and they say something, you're thinking, you know what I mean? That's kids. They don't really know how to deal with their emotions the way an adult would. Like, if that was someone like, say, Olden that went out. Olden's 25 now. He's seen it, done it, you know what I mean? He's been around this sort of environment for a very long time. Saliba, on the other hand, he hasn't played much senior appearance in terms of football. At St. Etienne, he's played, I think, like 40-something games. He's turned up a pre-season. He was injured, so he's doing his recovery work. He's played a few friendlies. Arteta said he didn't look, what's it called? Can't remember what he said. But basically, he wasn't ready physically for the Premier League. And I know a lot of people seem to think that when the manager says physically, you can just build your physicality over a month or two. It doesn't work like that. You can't. Some people say just throw him in and that will come. It sometimes takes 6 to 7 months.
Well, you look at Greenwood from when he made, I say it wasn't his debut, but I remember he played up front for us against Everton in December of 2019. And he struggled to hold the ball to kind of fend off. Even to this day, he's still not massively fully built. But you saw when he come back after lockdown, he's like, he's a man now. He can actually.
Neeks, do you remember Ronaldo?
I remember Ronaldo.
One summer, Ronaldo came back, and you're like, rah!
His big brothers come to play.
Hyperbolic time chamber.
And it doesn't. People think it's just when he says physicality, the managers talk about fitness. No, he's not talking about fitness. It's deeper than that. And as a centre back who's paid 30 mil for it, and what I tend to see for Arsenal is, and I disagree with it, I don't like when we tend to throw youth in and decide that, okay, just get along with it, because I've seen a lot of our youth players don't reach the ability that they should reach, and they end up just going to some next country where you don't hear of them anymore. Because Arsenal tend to pick up a lot of bad results over the years, and mentally they don't know how to cope with it. So I'd rather him go out on loan, gain some more experience, come back in the summer where you know it's going to be a refreshed squad. You're going to have space. There's going to be spaces in the squad now, because we had like 8 centre backs anyway when he was here. So now there's going to be spaces where he could say, all right, cool, I'm going to put the work in, I'm going to earn the manager's trust and get myself into the team. So I don't really look at it and think his future's finished. I just feel it's just...
I mean, what's the level that he needs to? I mean, right now Arsenal are a mid-table club anyway. Let's be real. So like, what is the level that Saliba has to go to anyway? Like, if it's just mid-table, then you don't have to expect that much from him, do you?
No. I don't think it's an expectation sort of thing. It's just he's protecting the player. He's protecting assets. Like Odin's
see what Ardy's doing.
Odin's paid. He's a senior professional. So no matter what happens during the season at Arsenal, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to damage his mentality.
I'm still stuck on how you had 8 centre backs and you've conceded all these goals.
We had 8 centre backs. Listen, but
why didn't you just play all 8?
Yeah, but you're saying concede all these goals. But we've got the second best.
Yeah. Why don't you take Saliba back and we'll take Gabriel on loan? How does that sound? That'll be pretty good. Then you can solves both our problems.
At least you can have your best defender playing Soccer-itis. Then we'll sort it out. Don't worry.
Soccer-itis is gone.
He's gone, isn't he? Yeah.
We've got 4.
Is he gone?
We've gone
from 8 gone as well.
Yeah, we've gone from 8 to like 4 now, isn't it? So. Next season we'll see. At the end of the day, I believe in Saliba. I've been watching him. So I know Danny was saying in the chat yesterday, this hype was brought about by Arsenal fans. But it really wasn't. Like, Saliba's name was ringing bells in the French media way before he signed for Arsenal. Like, he's a player. If you watch him, if you go back and watch him, you will see what he brings to the table.
In the French league?
Yes. No, it isn't. No, it is in the French league. It is in the French league. But for me, that's nothing. Like,
the only reason I'm saying that is because we question PSG doing well in the Champions League because of how poor the French league is.
No, I get that. I understand that. But there is gems. Like, I see a lot of insults going towards.
Get it right.
I see a lot of insults get thrown onto the French league. Yes, we understand it's not the strongest of leagues, and yes, mentally, when you're switching from League One to Champions League, it's a different level. But they are gems in the.
Oh yeah, I mean that Monaco side. How many gems did that Monaco side score?
Come on, look at Bakayoko, who's great, wasn't he? He took off, didn't he?
That's because your team ruins players. That's the difference.
That's
your
not
team
true.
Ruins
That's not
players.
true.
Yeah, it is, because Werner used to score goals.
Yeah. I need to get on to the last segment. Someone messaged me and they was asking me who's better out of Grealish and Foden. And I came stuck. I didn't know how to assess it myself. And I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
I would say Grealish right now, but Foden's got a higher ceiling.
Agreed.
That's where I go with it.
I think Foden, because of his, I think Foden is more flexible and adaptable than Grealish. So I feel he can. But he can also play number 10. He can also play as a false 9 as well, and he's done that. For Pep Guardiola this season, whereas Grealish just isn't as flexible. Not that he's not bad, but I feel like if you're gonna pick a player, like you've got one player that's coming out, you'd pick Foden because you can. Basically,
I think it's a weird comparison, if you want my honest opinion.
Why?
I just think they're different. I think they're really different.
I don't think they're that different.
How?
I think they are.
I was right-footed, I was left-footed. That's about it.
You say that, but how many goals does Grealish score?
I don't know.
In terms of goal, Foden is a goal scorer. He scores goals for Man City.
I get
at Man City.
That's because he's adaptable, though, in the sense of the system he's playing and the way he plays the game. But they're very
if
similar.
Grealish goes in that Man City side, he kills it.
Do you think?
I'm sorry, yeah.
I've seen everything to suggest he would. I've seen everything to suggest he would.
The guy slows the game down
what I would
in the
say,
opposition's box.
He does Hazard and gets loads of free kicks. That's
what I would say though, yes, he's performing at Villa, and I believe that he could go to any of the big top 6 teams and perform the same way. But beggars to be believed. We've seen a lot of players who've got ability at this level, and then when they step up to a different team. Listen, not much as we call Man City a small team, that badge weighs different to Aston Villa. And it's if you can go and play at the consistency that Pep Guardiola is going to demand and follow it through. There's no guarantee you could do that.
Yeah, no, I think it's not guaranteed. Foden is at a big club who are with high expectations, and let's be honest, he's had to fight his way into that team. A lot of the English media has been calling for him and fans calling for him to be in that team for ages, and Pep just ain't budging. Even David Silva leaving, it wasn't like, all right, David Silva's gone, here's your position. He still wasn't getting into the team week in, week out. He's had to really force his way in. And he's still not first shot. Like, he's still not guaranteed because De Bruyne's gone injured and he hasn't played every game that De Bruyne's been out. So he's 20 years old. I think Pep's doing it right. We, as English media fans, country, we do like to force it. We see one talent and it's like, the next best thing, throw him straight in. And the expectations are right up there. And sometimes they can't actually achieve it in the end. I would say right now, he's played more games, Christian, from the start.
Yeah.
But he's only one more goal, 6 goals, 10 assists compared to 5 goals, 3 assists. So
he's played less games. Do you know what I mean?
So I think right now, for me, Grealish he is better. And I would, if I was like the England manager, I would select him over Foden. He's 25 years old.
Yeah, I hear that.
Foden has 10 years at international level ahead of him. There's no need to rush him right now.
I agree.
If you're a manager, you can play Foden, and because of Foden's adaptability, I know Southgate isn't Pep and he's not going to do this, but you can play Grealish and Foden in the same team.
Yeah, but then you have to put in. You have to drop what Sterling, Rashford, Kane. Like,
do you think they have to be careful? Do you think they have to be careful with a Foden and overplaying him? Because what you don't want is him to turn out. I'm just saying, Man City. No, do you know whoever's got him, Man City, for example. I'm saying, do you think they have to be careful with him?
No,
in terms of the way they introduce him in.
I think he's managed
because you don't want him to turn into, no offense, like a Wayne Rooney. Well, like he just died after.
No, I think he's being managed very well at City.
Yeah. Do you know the one I'd worry about? Is James Maddison, because I think that kid's got some real potential.
Yeah,
I really do.
He's better than him, though. I think.
Yeah, he might well be better than him, but I think they're very different as well, Jim. Actually, I think Maddison's got some great potential, but that Leicester side? I honestly feel Man United made it into the top 4 because Maddison was injured for a long part of their season, the end of the season, Leicester's season.
You mean
he was on
Chelsea
fire.
made it into the top 4 because
us.
They've got no replacement for him.
Yeah, you're the one that came in, mate. Not us.
As soon as he recovers as well, they put him straight back in.
Yeah,
and that's why
he's vital. He's vital to him. We sleep on him because he plays for Leicester.
Mason Mount is underappreciated. We're not talking about Mason Mount enough, apparently. Jeb, is that your guy, Mason Mount?
I'll give you David's number, and you can talk to David.
He gets
about
called
Mason
out
Mount.
a lot because he's over. Chelsea play him too much, and apparently he doesn't deserve to play too much in the Chelsea team. That's what I've been told. There's better players.
He's had a great season.
I think he's very underrated. I think he's overrated, but very underrated. He's not on the level of Grealish, the Maddisons, and the Foden. He's not there yet. Like he's actually lacking behind.
How old is he?
By quite a bit.
22.
22, right.
But he's very young, and what I don't understand is a lot of Chelsea fans who seem to have digs at him, they tend not to point out what the Kovacic is doing, what other players in that squad is doing.
Yeah.
And they don't see the impact of a player like Mount Mates. That's why Lampard always had him, because he can depend on it.
Basically, if you put it like this, if you say Foden is the Paul Scholes, Grealish is the Gerrard, and Mount is Lampard.
That must mean
that Grealish is the Gerrard.
Yeah.
Big that's nothing to be ashamed of, though.
It's not at all.
That must mean that the Rob Holding's John Terry, then, isn't it? We'll give him that one.
There's nothing to be ashamed of, man. But yeah, I think that's brought us to the end of the show. Thank you guys for tuning in, and look out for us next week, same time.
Wicked.
Peace.
Peace, people. Peace.